what I would be thinking about as a CTO now is this idea of actually onboarding non-human employees. And I think that's what it sounds really weird today, but I think sometime probably this year, you'll start to see progressive companies doing this. And what I mean by that is like you know, will have agents, we'll give them their own email, we'll give them their own Slack. We'll probably tie them to a human who's accountable to them as basically the supervisor of that agent.
Did we start a company to do background checks on agents?
It
That
could,
would be
there'll
interesting.
probably be, you know, it'll be interesting. And I think that's the other interesting thing here is memory, right? And there's some we didn't really talk about memory in this Claude bot thing, but I think there's some early tastes of what memory does in terms of creating a distinctive agent, right? That's an artifact of the context you've given it. And so I think that's really what's going to start to come in enterprise. And I think the initial employees that do this will probably be narrowly based, but you'll interact with them the way that you interact with a lot of remote employees, in terms of talking to them over Slack, sending an email, getting responses back that are maybe a Word document or an Excel document or some artifact along in those ways. And then they'll be interacting with the same systems you do, right? In terms of ERP, CRM, other type of systems,
Including other agents, other employees.
including
Yeah.
other agents that are working on the behalf. So I think it's that idea that we have to start wrapping our head around. This gives you, I think, some insight into what that might look like. It gives you some insight into where that could get terrifying, right? If you don't have the right guardrails around these things, I think it gives you, but it's just an opportunity, I think, to reflect deeply on this and start to feel what this experience will be like. Cause I think it's almost certainly coming to some level, right? Whether we wanted to or not, in some
Yeah.
cases, I think
I
this is
think it's
starting to
gonna
happen.
I think it'll look like LLMs did, which is if you're an enterprise and you're trying to prevent your employees from using LLMs, they're gonna use them on their phone. They're gonna use them in non-corporate channels. If this picks up and people start using them in their lives, they're not going to accept not using it at work as well. So figuring out what that needs to look like, how do you build systems around these in a way that are acceptable to your corporate mission makes sense. Now, to some degree, your agents might follow the employee policies and playbook better than your employees, your human employees will, because they're slightly less incentivized to go around them. Although I did have an experience back with OpenAI's operator, back when it was still called that, where it was running a long running task and told me like, oh, this is taking a while. Do you really want me to do this? I'm like, yes, I do. And then it did like one more round of it. It was like, no, it's really taking a long time for each of these iterations. This is going to end up taking like 30 hours. So like, that's okay. You don't get tired. Like, just keep going.
I mean,
And
that
it
sounds
was,
like a stupid question you might get from a super new junior employee. Do you really want me to do this? This is going to
yeah,
take.
it was hilarious. It was like, well, there's got to be a better way. Like, don't they have an API I could use? I'm like, no, if they did, I would have said to do it that way. Clearly they don't.